Hey guys, we're going to take a look at conditionals today and talk about how we can have our code make some decisions based on variables and what we're entering into. So let's go ahead and open up a new playground. All right, so this is going to continue from functions and parameters. So now we're going to get into some branching and conditionals. So basically, we're talking about having our code decide if it goes this way in the code, this happens. If it goes the other way, something else will happen. So that idea, it's all based on some conditions. So we're going to work with, we're going to start with if statements. All right, so now we used if statements in our previous challenge where it was one of the extras, and you guys used an if statement to turn the background green. So we're going to use those again. So let's go ahead and create a variable called months of the year, all right, just to keep it simple here. All right, and we'll set that equal to 12. All right, so there's 12 months in a year. So now what an if statement is going to do is we're going to use the if statement to check. Basically, we're going to check to see if the months of the year is 12, and if it is 12, what's going to happen? What's the output going to be here? So to begin an if statement, we always start with the word if. Okay, and then we'll type in, we're going to check the condition of month of the year. So we're going to look at that. So if months of the year. All right, and now we're not going to use just the one equal sign because we're not assigning it here. All right, we're looking to check the operator. So that's going to be two equal signs, okay, because again, it's a logical operator. We want to say if months of the year is 12, okay, so that's the beginning of it. And then we put our curly braces, and then inside the curly braces is what we put, what happens if it's 12. So if months of the year is 12, we'll just do a print line statement here just to start off simple. We'll say this is true, okay. So let's go through this. So it's printing out this is true. I'll make that a little bigger here. All right, because again, month of the year is equal to 12. It's telling us right there, and then we've checked it here. Month of the year is 12. Now if we change this to 14, okay, nothing happens. All right, because again, it's not true, so this code will not execute here. So that's an if statement. Okay, so kind of the simplest form. We're just checking yes or no is month of the year 12. All right, so let's go on to the if-else statement. So now we can start looking at this thing called a counter conditional. So now again, if something's false or true, is there anything else that can happen with our code? All right, so let's create a variable. We'll call it weather conditions. We got to type that out there. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and set that equal to snowy. So let's say we're creating something for a school district here. We're going to check if it's a snowy day out. We're calling school off. Stay home, plan to snow day. Okay, so but we need to check that, so we're going to create our if statement to do that. So we'll say if weather conditions, all right, if it is snowy, okay, we'll go ahead and say if it is snowy, there's going to be no school. So we'll print out a statement that says no school. All right, so then nothing new there. It's printed out. So again, it's checking, is it snowy? It is, so snow and snowy match up, no school. So now let's introduce the else part to this here. So now we want to say, well, if that's not true, what else could happen here? So then we just type in the word else, and then we just put in two more curly braces, and now this is going to execute if this is not true. Okay, so then we will say if it is not snowy, all right, we're going to go ahead and print out school day, meaning we better get to school because it is not canceled. So again, this is, if it's true, this is printing out, or if it matches, if it's not, this is printing out. So let's change this to sunny. So let's say it's a sunny day out. So now again, it's checking on weather conditions. Weather conditions, we just assigned it to sunny. So now it's checking. Is weather conditions sunny? It is not. So it's not going to print no school. It moves down to the else. So it's not matching. So now the else statement comes into play. School day prints out. Okay, so again, if I were to print this to snowy, again, it's checking, yep, matches up, no school. Okay, if we were to change this to rainy, okay, you know what, we're still going to have school if it's raining out there. So again, it doesn't match up. All right, again, that doesn't equal, so then that executes to the else statement, and then it kind of finishes at that point. Okay, so that's an if-else statement. All right, let's move on here and let's take a look at the AND operator. Okay, so kind of using the AND operator with if statements. So we're going to create a variable called ticket list. We're going to set that equal to true, and we'll say paid list. So let's say we've got homecoming this week, homecoming coming up this week here at Lakes. So we'll do a variable. We'll check to see if people are on the ticket list and if they've paid. So in order for someone to enter the dance, they've got to be both on the ticket list and on the paid list. If not, they do not get in. Okay, so what we'll need to do is we want to check that both are true. So we're going to use an if statement to do that. So if you go if ticket list is equal to true, all right, so that's part one there, so we want to check that. But we also got to see, did they pay? Okay, so we're going to use the AND operator, which is two of those. All right, so as you're looking at the keyboard, look at the number 7 and use the shift key, that ampersand symbol. And then we want to see if paid list is true. So if both of those are good, all right, we're going to let them in the dance. We'll print out a little message here that says, you can enter. Okay. If either one of those is false or not true, you know what? You can't come to the dance. Let's do an else statement and print out that they have to, you cannot enter. Okay, so now again, both of these have to be true. All right, ticket list and paid list have to be true or else it's not going to work. Okay, so let's change this. So let's say they are not on the list here. Okay, so now it's going to run. It's going to say, you know what? You can't enter because both of these are not true. All right, one is not. That's not going to work. All right, next person comes in. They're true. All right, it will work and it'll execute you can't enter because ticket list is true, paid list is true. So that's what you use the AND operator for. All right, so basically if you have two conditions that you want to meet, you can combine that into one if statement there. Okay, so next thing we're going to do here, okay, is let's talk about the OR operator. Okay, so what if you only need one condition to be met? Okay, so you know, one or the other and we'll be good. So let's just play off that ticket list here. So let's create a new variable called new ticket list. We'll set that equal to true. Let's create another one called new paid list and set that one equal to false. Okay, so now in this case here, I'm just going to create some more lines here. We only need one to be true. Okay, so different dance, different criteria. So we're going to say if ticket list is equal to true. Oh, now the OR operator is two of these lines. Okay, so again, look on your keyboard. It's right below the delete button. All right, on a Mac. So this is the OR operator. So if ticket list is true or new paid list is true. Okay, so only one has to happen here. Again, we'll say the same thing. You can print, you can enter, and if not, print, you can't enter. Okay, so now let's go through this. So we're saying OR, so only one has to be true. So as you look at our variables, ticket list is true, paid list is false. That's okay, because again, we're saying only one has to be true. If ticket list is true or new paid list is true, let them in. Okay, so now again, if we were to say that these were both false, okay, you're not getting into, excuse me, I take that back here. All right, so again, it's looking for one or the other here. Okay, so now this is a mistake on my part here as I'm looking at this now, and I hope maybe you caught this here. I'm calling the ticket list from above here. Okay, so that's why true is showing up here because this is still accessing the true. So one technically still is true. My mistake here. Let me update this here. All right, to new ticket list. There we go. Sorry about that. So now because both are false, so new ticket list is not true. So neither one is being met in this OR statement. So that's why it's saying it cannot enter. Got to go home. All right, but if we change new paid list to true, all right, now we're good because one of the conditions is being met. Okay, so again, this is where you're checking what do you want your conditions to be. Do you want them to have to pay it or not? Because you could set these to false. But again, this is where you're checking it. And this is essentially where the user's entering in their information. All right, so that's the if statement. So scrolling back up top. No, actually, let's maximize this here. There we go. We can see it all. So we started with if statements, moved into the if-else statement, worked with our and or operator. All right, so now let's take a look at one more thing here. Let's talk about switch statements here. Okay, so a switch statement is basically another way that you can check to see, again, if if you want to kind of a conditional check there and have your code produce an output based off of user interaction or just a criteria in your code here. All right, so let's just start simply here, and let's just create a variable called count and set that equal to 3. Actually, we'll set it equal to 0 to begin here. So a switch statement basically says, all right, we're going to switch based on different criteria. So we always start with the word switch, and then you got to identify what do you want to switch on. So in this case, we're going to switch on the count variable we created. All right, and so now That's how you start it off. So we're going to switch on this count. All right. So now inside the switch statement, we set up a bunch of different cases. All right. So we're going to start at case 0. All right. So you start with the word case and the number 0 followed by a colon. Then below that, you put down what do you want to have happen if this criteria is met. So we'll just say we want to print out the word hi. Okay. And then we had set up case 1. All right. So now we're just going in order. Print line. We'll say bye. And then we'll say case 2. Print line, and we'll just say hello. All right, so now with every switch statement, you always have to have basically a default, which is basically what happens if none of those conditions are met, and we'll just print out other for right now. Okay, so now let's analyze this. So the reason why it's printing out hi is because the case is 0. All right, and where's that coming from? Well, we're switching on the count, and count is an integer 0, so that's why it's printing out hi. If I were to change this to 1, it's going to print out bye, and if I change that to 2, it's going to print out hello, and if I change that to 3, it's going to print out other because it doesn't meet any of these conditions. So a switch statement essentially is just going to switch. It's going to kind of go down the line, check, 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 and once it finds a matching condition, it will do whatever you have specified in the code there. So switch statements and if they're similar because you could set this up in if, but sometimes switch statements can be, it's kind of up to you what you'd want to use, but both can be very powerful to use. So either way, that's look at the conditionals we're going to use in class here. So if you have questions, please ask. But that's all I've got for you right now. So thanks for following along, and we will see you next time.